yet. 1 second. Are we? Oh yeah, we are. Let's check. Let's check on Twitter. Yep, we're live on Twitter. Are we live on YouTube?
So
Yep.
I thought you're one of the co-founders, Eric. It's written that you're head of the ecosystem here.
Yeah, I joined in 2023.
Oh, really? Okay, just a few months before you met us, huh? We
Yeah.
were we met like almost 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was
No.
still 2023 when we met. It was like
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Fiona says that we're live and LFG. We're ready to go.
Indeed.
Fiona, I still, yeah, we need, yeah, something like that. Okay, not bad. So, okay, let me give the introduction to our community tonight. Today we have Erick from Nibiru, and if you follow Humanode for more than a year, you know that Nibiru was one of the biggest partners of ours in terms of using our biometric technology. They actually brought us the most users, over 200,000, during their like airdrop claiming period and verification period of 1-2 weeks, as far as I remember. And what was surprising to me, by the way, is that you guys had less than 1 million testnet accounts, and as far as I know, or like those accounts that also participated enough. Because I know that we were figuring out who are Sibyl accounts from this less than 1 million, and you got like almost 250K bio-verified people. I was very surprised because usually the number of Sibyl accounts in the airdrops was above 90%, and you hit like just 70-75% of Sibyl accounts. And yeah, that was really unusual. Anyway, so Nibiru is our friendly layer one ecosystem with a lot of cool tech that Erick is going to tell our community today, because I think that the knowledge of Nibiru in our community, they just know that we worked on airdrop together, but they don't know yet how your chain is different from others, how your ecosystem is different from others. And yeah, I would love to tell this all to our community. So Erick, please enlighten us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to be working with you guys. We are right now doing a points campaign to grow our chain. We launched a bunch of different dApps, right, in partnership with all of our like projects. We did our EVM launch a few months ago, so now it's even easier for dApps to deploy. You can either deploy in Cosmwasm or deploy in Solidity, right? So like you have the EVM and you have the Cosmwasm, so you can do Rust or Solidity contracts. You can even do vaults that use both kinds of languages and both kinds of contracts. So that way the types of apps that people can build is like unprecedented now, right? So devs that are comfortable, whatever VM you're most comfortable with, you can build with. And what we're mainly seeing is these new kinds of structured products that can automate yield and make it more passive. You know, I think there's a lot of yield opportunities in DeFi, and especially with like blue chip assets that people really like, right? Like wrapped Bitcoin, synthetic Bitcoin, they're like yield bearing ETH, stable coins that are earning yield from T-bills or from private credit. So but it is not enough for people to just buy the asset and just sit on the asset. Like people want it to be a productive asset. So can I loop this, or can I use it as collateral to then borrow and then do trade perps with the or with the yield or with the borrowed money? So, you know, I think that like the same way that DeFi made a lot of financial instruments that were previously off chain, like accessible on chain and accessible to more people. I think these like vaults and structured products are making like more advanced financial strategies also available to more people by making it simpler for people to just like one-click deposit. And so we're working with projects like Steer, Gamma, Ichi that do like smart liquidity management, automated yield strategies. So people that just have like an asset can just deposit it, and then it's like their own automated like hedge fund manager, right? That'll just automatically redeposit it into the best yield opportunities at the moment.
So these automations, they're not possible with EVM only, and this is where your Cosmosm part comes into play, or is just one of the targets of your like chain expansion in the DeFi. I wonder, like, is it possible with just EVM, or this is the feature you have, that you have vaults that can be interacting both with Solidity part and Cosmosm part?
These specific ones are possible with EVM. So Ichi, Gamma, and Steer are already live on other chains, and so they're coming to us.
Yeah, I know which you guys.
Yeah, so they're already multi-chain, and then they're coming to our chain. But we do have projects that coming from the Wasm side that were built entirely in Rust, like Astrovault. And so by them being on our chain, there's the opportunity for the vault managers to then expand and include those. So it's giving Rust-based projects a new chance to like gain a lot of liquidity in TVL, right? And I think people have seen like time and time again that like contracts written in Rust generally have a lot less security vulnerabilities than contracts written in Solidity. You'll have a perp stacks written in Solidity that takes up a lot of is a lot of lines of code, and so a lot of potential for things to go wrong. Whereas like the same perp stacks with the same features written in Rust is a lot more compact, right, and a lot more secure. Rust has been around a lot longer, so I think a lot of dApps that would have been built in Rust, they had to go Solidity just because they had to launch on EVM chains because that's where all the liquidity is. But now giving developers the ability to continue to build in Rust, but then have these like EVM wrappers on the same chain. So we have these precompiles that can convert bank tokens to ERC20s. We have precompiles that can call Rust contracts from just EVM contracts. So like we could have a vault that deposits into, for example, like Nibiru staking is still in Rust, right? So like to stake Nibby is a Wasm contract. But there's a wrapper, so somebody could, like, you don't need to use a Kepler wallet or a Cosmos wallet. You could use MetaMask, call the EVM contract to wrap it, and then inside the contract, it'll do the wrapping in native Rust. But the whole point is for the user to not have to worry about that. Like, you know, everyone wants to use MetaMask and they don't want to use MetaMask snaps. They just want to use regular MetaMask. So how can we make it as easy as possible for them to do it?
I think nowadays
really,
it's very important to have like a very simple UX, because a lot of people like speed, so they want to do everything in one click and as fast as possible.
Yeah,
people become more lazy, and if they meet something like Polkadot.js extension, they're like, bye guys, we're not using you anymore.
Indeed.
And so basically, to summarize, Erick, so what you did, you have developers who write their contracts in Rust, but then you have this connection between your basically Cosmosm environment and the virtual machine that enables that, and connection to the EVM part of it. And basically, engineers write code in their lovely Rust. They don't need to touch Solidity, but then the user can use it as if he's interacting with the typical through MetaMask Solidity contract, right? He won't even notice it's not EVM based, right?
Yeah.
This is cool. Yeah. This is cool. You know, we started our chain. We started building on Substrate, the Polkadot blockchain framework, simply because it was the best in Rust. We also are Rusticians. Like all of our engineers know Rust in the team, and we built the chain so that we could launch multiple VMs because we don't understand that the world cannot, in the end, use Solidity. There should be something else, hopefully sooner than later. and we've seen the Cosmos from what 2019, I think, and it didn't gain a lot of adoption. I wonder, guys, how do you actually incentivize developers, or how do you find these teams who are ready to build in something new for blockchain like Cosmos? Because we don't have many apps. I mean, in Cosmos.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of, I mean, it's a lot of BD. So like each project that we work with, we're like very hands-on with, and we're very involved in like the governance and the like the product direction. So for example, like we're working with Abracadabra, which does looping cauldrons. So you deposit an asset, borrow against it, and then loop it using their stable coin called MIM. And they have a DAO, they have a governance process. So we work with them to identify like profitable opportunities. And then we make the proposal with all the parameters, the risk analysis, the opportunity that's there, like laid out. And then we put it for the vote with the DAO. So I think that like that's something that we really enjoy doing with our projects, is not just like everybody is just building and then come and deploy on the chain, but also what already exists on the chain, who can work with each other, like the lending platform working with the launchpad, or the basis trading, right, utilizing the specific perp stacks, and then creating these new products that have these new novel opportunities. Because initially it was just like the already existing opportunities moving from other chains, but I think what I've noticed is that like, you know, it sounds very basic to provide BD and marketing support, but a lot of projects are launching on chains and they're getting like nothing from those foundations. Like they don't even get their posts retweeted by the chain's Twitter account. And that was really surprising to me.
Look at Farah's face.
Yeah, well, I was actually like that's actually like so accurate, because that's the problem when you are working, like when you choose to work with someone that's like, you know, very big, yeah, like a very big name. They don't actually have the time to spend on you. But when you are working like with a, let's say, a smaller team, then they have the time to focus on you, and they will give you like all their attention. So you will be like treated how you should be treated as a developer, and as a like a new upcoming project. So I think it makes sense what you're saying, and we learned that as well. That, you know, bigger, let's say bigger ecosystems, they don't really care about their developers or developers building on their chain, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's starting to get better because dominance is decreasing for like chains. So like there's it's getting easier and easier to migrate over, right? Like a lot of people, they felt they weren't getting support from Base, so they all moved to Solana, right? And now Base is kicking into high gear in terms of like, come back, like we'll support you guys, we'll promote you guys. So I think like yeah, as an industry, we definitely need to support dApps and the dApp developers, because they're the ones that are like, you know, building the consumer facing applications that users will interact with. And it's not enough to just build the chain and then people will deploy on it. It's like you have to offer the BD support, you have to offer the marketing support, right? You have to see yourself as like an incubator or as an accelerator for these projects.
It's almost like a marriage, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're not getting a divorce in a year or so.
Yeah, every new project is another like number in my phone that now has me on speed dial, and so I'm like very closely in the know with like our partners and what they're up to, what stage they're at. Even for like just, you know, if they're fundraising again soon, it's good to know, because then you can like help them. It's like being a VC almost, right? Like you have it's like your portfolio, and then we've actually even invested in some of the projects. So then, you know, it's even more aligned that like if they succeed, we succeed from a token perspective or an equity perspective, and then we make the intros for them to help them fundraise. Like everything. There's so many ways to help projects out.
At the same time, if they grow, you will grow as an Nibiru, because they will bring you like users, they will bring you on-chain transactions, they will bring you everything. So it's in your best interest as a project that obviously a dApp deploying on your chain will succeed, same as is like ours when we
Yeah.
incubate projects.
Yeah, I saw
Well,
that it's pretty
Eric,
cool. Like in DAOs,
go on,
right?
go on,
Like
sorry.
you have token swaps to be able to like treasury swap, right? And like have each other's tokens. And I saw like some of that happening, but I think it kind of stopped when like DAOs kind of were faded out
You
for
know,
a
it's
bit.
not. Yeah, it's not the best scenario because in half a year of when the prices diverge, somebody will be mad at someone. You know,
Yeah,
and I'm not sure it's the best way to go. To be honest.
yeah, it's tricky.
And Eric, like from what I heard right now, it's your focus or the focus of the whole Nibiru is basically consumer-facing financial apps with, let's say, yield optimization, best performance, and automation, right? Of changing the strategies if the market changes, so that the user doesn't even have to switch to another strategy. It's switched automatically. It sounds like your current focus. Is it right? And if it's right, yeah, I wonder, like, focus is one thing, but then the other thing, where do actually the unique users come from, mostly on Nibiru chain right now? I'm not talking about the future projects, but would be also, yeah, good to hear your opinion on, like, where are the users coming right now mostly? Is it DeFi? Is it GameFi? Is it SocialFi? Something else? And given what you're doing right now as a foundation, as ecosystem growth lead, uh, where will most of the transactions come from? Let's say a year after.
So there's a lot of inflow coming in from Stargate. So Stargate is the main bridge provider that we use. A lot of funds are being bridged over now, and a lot of our users are DeFi users, right? So they trade on the testnet. There were a lot of perps traders, um, just collateralizing and borrowing against it, doing like these yield strategies. So I would say they're like intermediate to advanced like DeFi users, and then we like catering to those people because they're comfortable with like the basic level of blockchain tools, and then they're familiar with these like terms like the options and perps and the funding rates, and then they just want better access to like more strategies or more like opportunities. There is an interesting amount of there's been an interesting amount of like meme coin mints on our meme coin launchpad called Omni, and that was interesting because I thought that like meme coins are kind of fading out, but I guess, I mean, there's been a resurgence with like the
I
idea of
really,
like
I really feel that they're not going away anytime soon. Maybe when
yeah,
they're banned on international level in all the countries in the world, they will still be on Mars or something.
yeah, you're right. Even if they're banned, I think they're just, I mean, they're too accessible and they're like too
Too
they're
easy to
too enticing
understand.
for people. Yeah. Um, but I mean, that's good. Like, it's good to see people using it, and then people are, making their launches, and then they're talking about what they've launched, and then kind of sharing it there. And then Omni has like the whole discovery function, same like bonding curve process, and then tokens are graduating, and then the liquidity is being added and locked to Omni Swap. So I think that's really good. So I mean, we'll see how that grows. I like prediction markets still. I think that there's an interesting element there about, Shane from Polymarket always talks about how it's like voting with your money. So really, if you want to arrive at like what people really think about something, something like Polymarket or prediction market is really good at that. So I like seeing that. Our prediction markets are very sports focused. So like Bracket does a lot of they set up a lot of markets for like hockey competitions or like whatever sport is currently like in
But
whatever competitions are currently happening.
it's not like sports betting where the odds are decided by the, let's say, kitchen or by the company itself, that gives you to bet on something. But then you have a prediction market on sports, which is when person votes with his money, the probability changes based on it, right? So like
Yeah.
poly market.
So
Yeah,
depending
not-
how much money are bet on an option, that one will have like higher or lower odds. It's not like
Yeah.
I don't know, Ladbrokes, let's say, like a traditional betting platform they will give you the odds and you bet like on one or the other.
oh, I see. Yeah. No, it's still dynamic. It's still like dynamically changing based off of like what people put in, right? And then so it
Okay.
arrives at probability. Which I think is, I mean, that's the most interesting thing about prediction markets is that the probability changes. The probability of it happening changes, right, as more people bet. And so it's a very interesting thesis to be seen playing out. And I think Polymarket has paved this way, right? Because like Polymarket data is being fed into Bloomberg terminals and into Perplexity.ai. So
Yeah.
it is valuable to study this data and to look into that data. So I think, the more markets that can be made about more topics, about more things, I think the better.
So we do have also prediction market projects that is not yet public. I think. Yeah, we didn't even tell this to community, right?
No.
And it's
It
it
was
is
in my mind to say it, but I thought like I'm not gonna say it.
no, not yet, not yet. But basically, the guys are making a prediction market for science, but not a typical prediction market where every hypothesis becomes a separate token, a very volatile token with a bonding curve. And then the outcome of for or against is not decided by humans. It is decided by a bunch of AIs with human in the loop in order to update the scientific possibility of the scientific event and not what humans expect. So it's just, but at the same time, what's cool about it is that it works on bonding curves. Every market is its own token, and it's very volatile. So we hope that it can draw the attention of people who love volatility, which is pretty much one of the use cases of crypto, like speculation volatility, but turn it into something useful for science because it's going to fund the researchers working on the topic.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I have a question for you guys. So like as these projects start touching the real world more, there is going to need to be more verifications and KYC, right? Like who are these researchers? If the project, there's like all the, the SEC came out, they want to put everything on chain now. I'm sure that doesn't mean that anybody's going to be able to just buy anything. Like you're still probably going to have to verify who you are in order to buy into certain equity launches or buy into like IPOs. What role do you guys see yourselves playing as identity starts being integrated into more of these apps?
Well, we are still the Sybil resistance guys. We're not working on KYC. We're not working on other credentials. The only credential we can give to a person is whether the person is unique or not. And this is a great anti-fraud mechanism, to be honest, that I think should be in every national vote, to be honest, like in any kind of voting, if we're talking about voting. But if we're talking about launch pads, they do need KYC. Okay, if you want to buy equity, you have to go through KYC. Do you need the Sybil resistance and deduplication in these cases? Well, things that are based completely on capital don't really need Sybil resistance. Some projects, they only care about TVL, they don't need Sybil resistance. But then if we talk about things like voting or any per user incentive, yeah, this is where we come in order to verify that there was no fraud or new IDs minted. And actually purchasing an ID from some Vietnamese people, this is what all the Chinese do. This is why Vietnam is number one in crypto adoption. But in fact, it's just a lot of passports used by other countries because they're sold so easily. But then if you have to verify someone like we have in our on-chain verification, you actually have to send a private key to the person in order to verify his face, for your account, which you will not do. So yeah, in terms of document fraud and voting fraud, especially with IDs and all this stuff, ID is very easy to recreate. And of course, if you have an authoritarian government, it can create as many biometric passports as possible, which is also, well, leads to just fraud in the elections. So I believe, in more DeFi use cases, you don't necessarily need Sybil resistance and deduplication and uniqueness. But when there is a
Unless you
user and
have
each user counts,
sorry, I
Whereas-
want to say unless you have like quadratic staking, sorry, like we have.
yeah, well, this
Then
is
you- then you-
this is some things that I want to talk to Eric about. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. We created one application in DeFi, which is non-linear, or you can call it quadratic staking. So basically, the more, let's say, LP tokens you hold in your position in Uniswap pool, let's say, uh, the less is your APR, or you can even revert it and make it more. It depends on who your target audience is. Yeah. So in case of Humanode, we wanted to decentralize our pool participants, yeah, those who hold the LP tokens, and provide liquidity. Like our main liquidity point right now is a pool on Impossible Finance DEX. And yeah, we made it so that if you put, let's say, 10K bucks, every participant has to verify their face. But if you put like 10K bucks, you will get maybe 30% APR. But if you put 10 bucks or 100 bucks, you can get 200% APR. And there is also an option with a like easy change of a formula to make it vice versa. Which one would you choose, Eric, as an ecosystem lead of Nibiru?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. I think that, like, because I've seen this. Well, I mean, the Gitcoin quadratic voting. I think that has been like the most well-known
Yeah,
implementation.
quadratic voting. Yeah.
But I think that, like, applying this to staking or applying this to a vault, that's an interesting way to get a lot more people to participate.
Because
But I think
basically,
that,
That's what we did. Yeah.
basically we try to incentivize the small ones, like the small users. We try to incentivize them like by providing higher APR. So we try to make them participate in the pools instead of like only the biggest like the big wallets or whales or whatever, because they will suck all the APR. But then if you try and incentivize the small ones by giving them higher APR, they will participate.
but then doesn't that
This is correct.
doesn't that reduce the APR for the? It reduces the APR for the whales, though.
It reduces, of course, the APR for the whales, though. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's
So
an
I
issue.
wonder,
Or that's
I wonder
definitely-
what would happen. That's an issue. That's an issue. That's an issue. You sacrifice your TVL for having more community involvement, community happiness, let's say, because whales are not your community. Sometimes they're your, like, I don't know. Sometimes they're your buddies, but there's so few of them that they're not general community. And then, so that's what I'm saying, Eric. We could easily, like in a week, set up a pool with the same LP token that works by completely different rules. You lost me,
Can you
guys.
do that on? Can you do that on, like, on Uniswap pools, or you build a vault on top, or what does it look like mechanically?
So it works. It works with any ERC20 token for now, because it's much harder. If it would be V3, NFTs of Uniswap, it will be much harder. So it basically works with any ERC20 token. In our case, these are the tokens of UniV2 pools.
Okay, so you use UniV2 pools, and then the foundation would provide a yield, or you're able to direct the trading
Yeah,
fees of the pool, or would is an incentive from the foundation?
we could. So yeah, there is like liquidity mining that's going nonstop for over a year now from our side. It's great for us because Humanode, due to our consensus, does not require any staking, and people always love the incentive of holding tokens and getting passive reward for that. And we decided, we don't want to have one-sided staking that's completely useless. It does not secure our chain.
Mhm.
Let's do something useful. So yeah, pretty much the only option you can stake Humanode and get any rewards from the foundation is putting your basically LP tokens into the contract and getting rewards from there.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot. I think that like having a productive asset being used as the one to stake. So I like people using the LSTs now. But even better would be the LP tokens. I even think that like on lending platforms, the LP tokens should be the main form of collateral that people borrow against.
Yeah, true.
Right? So now you're not only are you providing like liquidity for people to trade, even if you get liquidated, that just goes to someone else. So like the pool is fine. But I think there's been issues with like not enough of the liquidity of the LP token itself, or like the pricing, like proper pricing and the oracles for that. What are your LP tokens paired against? Do you accept any pair, or is it a specific pair?
We have 3 pairs
Yeah,
now.
we can choose any pair.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, it's not only we can choose any pair. We can, for example, our ecosystem guys can say, "Hey, we're having a pool here. Can you add it to BioStaker? These are the rewards." And we're like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah, and then one day it's done. Can be any ERC20 token that works with it. But if we want to change the formula to, you know, to be to make it better for whales, we should revert the formula. I really want to hold this experiment, at least with some other token who would choose to do that, because probably my co-founders would be against it. It's a pretty costly experiment, to give incentives to.
No, but I think it's fine. I mean, the thing with whales is that yeah, they're gonna unless it's like someone that yeah, they're gonna go to like whatever opportunity gives the most, and even just like a 1% or a 0.5% decrease or increase will make them shift around, because when they're dealing with like the amount of money that they have, like 0.5% makes a big difference. So that's like one consideration. And then also, as more institutions come in, I think a lot of chains now are thinking about how do we bring institutional capital, which is also the same principle of like if you mess around with the APYs even by like 0.5%, then you're not competitive anymore. So that is a consideration, but I do think there's a balance between that and then like retail liquidity providers, and so that's why we have the points campaign. That's why we have the incentive program. I do like the idea of a vault that's more optimized towards towards users than it is towards like institutions or towards whales. And then I do think that this would make sense to do it, because otherwise, right, you could have that same whale just split up their assets across 100,000 wallets and then get that quadratic staking benefit, right? Which kind of defeats the purpose. So I think you guys are the right people to do this kind of vault.
Yeah.
That's the trick with us, because even if they want to split the wallets, they wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
And we're already live on Nibiru, which is nice. So we can do it anytime, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, all right. Yeah, I'll look into that. I think the thing is though that like our liquidity is mainly on Uniswap V3, so it is a concentrated liquidity positioning.
It is really hard to calculate. Then it is just imagine you have to understand at every moment, what is the share of each person in the pool, and depending on his share in the pool, for every block, you distribute different rewards to all these people. So if you also should consider if their UniV3 position is in the range or out of the range, and how close to the current price it is. It is like a calculation nightmare. Of course, it is possible in Web 2 world, but coding this in Solidity wouldn't work with most of the blockchains we have. Maybe it could work with Mega ETH, but it's still on testnet, and too many calculations for an on-chain thingy. If we do biostaker with V3 pools.
But I mean, like projects like Merkle and Metron, they do points calculations for V3 deposits. Is this more complex because you're factoring in the right, like the Sybil resistance of the wallets?
I mean, Merkle is they have probably linear rewards. The more you put in, and like the closer to the range you put in, and the more you put in closer to the range, the more you get, which is completely logical. But here, you should also consider, how much each person has in this pool compared to all other people, and recalculate it every time someone enters the pool or exits the pool. You see what I'm saying? So it's another level of complication, which makes it another factor of complexity, not just x2 complexity. It's like x10, x100 complexity of calculations. So, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So OmniSwap is based off of Uniswap v2, and then they are the DEX that built OmniPump, which is the meme coin launchpad. So when the meme coin pairs graduate, their liquidity gets added to OmniSwap. So
nice. So it's V2 liquidity. Yeah.
Yeah. So this could work then for maybe meme coin pairs. Or
yeah. This is what I told to people when they asked, half a year ago, when we were at our meme coin peak in November on the DEF CON. I was hearing the same question over and over again. How does Humanode help meme coins? I'm like, okay, let me think. We're not really into them, right? We want to bring real change. Okay, but they could use our biostaker.
Yeah. I mean, meme coins are already considered like for the people, right? Like, or by the people, because anybody can launch a token, and then that liquidity.
There is something better that we came up with for the people, by the people, with no VCs involved. So I just vibe coded this thing. We're testing it with the team. Any person in the world can claim one token every half a year. That's it. You cannot create tokens any other way. You have to come every half a year and claim them. And the more people claim the token, the more tokens there are in the existence. And there is nobody who has a big stake in that, because it's such a simple application that people shouldn't get money for creating such things at all. Yeah.
It's basically one human, one claim.
One claim, yeah, but with a tweak, you can come back in half a year. If this thing becomes obsolete, unless this thing becomes obsolete earlier, like some meme coins, most of them.
But
yeah, I think
that's true.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, because meme coins do have very short half-lives, but I think for like a big project that wanted to do some kind of continual staking, right, over time, or not staking, airdropping over time, especially as a marketing strategy, right, to like reach out to other audiences. So you guys have, if a project comes to you and they want to do an airdrop, can they only airdrop to people that have like verified for their thing, or can they airdrop to all the existing users? Right? You guys have
we're not handling the airdrop ourselves. We just give the verification tool so they can do whatever they want. Some people just delete all the users from the airdrop who didn't go through verifications, but some of them are having like 10 types of different verifications and say you can go through 2 of them. Or some people just give more points, a point multiplier. This is actually, I think, the best that you can do to those who went through verifications. So, but yeah, we ourselves don't do airdrops. We are just part of the verification phase, let's say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll think about that because we have projects that are planning.
Yeah, you have points program now. I heard it.
Yeah, we have the points program, and then we have projects that are planning to do. Well, they're planning to do fundraises, and I don't know if the fundraise is just we'll just take capital, or if they want like a certain number of participants, right? And then if they want that, then they're going to want to have something like this where they can verify that this is actually how many people participated, and not just one person through this many wallets.
Given the market sentiment around the fundraisers, I would say nobody needs it right now. And the more people money put, the better.
Yeah. I have a fun question. So, the TAP hack, right? Everyone's identities, everyone's driver's licenses were collected into a public Firebase bucket, and then Erick
Oh.
just go to that link and then see that all. Do you
It
think
was
that
the
this
Indian one, or where was that? In US?
in the U.S. Yeah,
Oh my god.
they built this app for people, or for women specifically, to rate men and to write reviews.
Oh yeah, that's the story. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then it got. I mean, well, they say it got hacked. Well, that's one question, right? Is that a hack? Is that an exploit? If you switched your Firebase to be public and to not be password protected, and then somebody went to that link and then they got access to all the driver's
This
licenses.
is called mismanagement, not hack. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I think that I guess because you guys are more with the civil resistance, they were collecting the driver's license because they wanted to verify that you're a woman. I don't know.
You can
I guess,
verify somebody. Well, there are algorithms that allow you to verify sex, which sometimes is not very accurate, but there are things like that.
yeah.
Our algorithm cannot verify sex. It's it's not racist and not sexist. So we don't. Yeah, but face tag can verify age just looking at the face. It will not be very accurate, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I guess
So sometimes, yeah, it won't work, but still, you don't need any personal data to do that.
Right. They made you take a selfie then and there to then verify that you are the one that was uploading that driver's license. They said they would delete the selfie, but then they had the selfies in that public bucket as well. What do you guys?
Genius.
How are you? What do you guys do? You guys do the verification, or the license, or the photo, and then delete it right away, and then, or how does that work?
Yeah.
It
So,
basically
you go
it
for it.
basically never leaves the user device. The actual
It's
picture,
done locally. It's run locally. The verification
it never leaves the user device.
as a
No, really, it's
user.
not local data verification. We just so
Wait, so
the-
as users,
we just take.
there's other projects that do this. How do users make sure, not just with you guys, but with other projects, when they take a photo of themselves for this verification, how do they know? Is there something that they can check to make sure that their photo doesn't
Yeah.
leave, or just up to whatever software it's used?
So in most cases right now, I think in all cases right now, is just the trust me bro scheme. Okay. You can either tell users go read documentation or go read the code if it's open source. Of course, nobody does that. So you also have terms of service, and if you fail those, well, usually nothing will happen to you really. Yeah. If you fail terms of service, as far as I know, you can always run away with it. Well, the thing that we're developing is, so we have this confidential virtual machine, right? Where we store the anonymized biometric data, not the photo, not the video itself, but we extract the data locally and send it to the confidential virtual machine. And the confidential virtual machine, it has currently, it's being verified by, AMD, okay, because we work with AMD hardware. But then we're building through TLS such a thing that in the address bar, in your browser, where you usually have things like cookie site data, connection is secure, SSL certificate, you would be actually able to verify that currently you're in a session which works with confidential virtual machine. And that just means that, the things go from your client device directly to confidential virtual machine, and you can verify that the machine works properly as needed when it was launched, and nobody changed anything with it. So this is not yet done, and I haven't seen it done by anybody so far. But this will be finally the world where users can say, oh, this thing is really private. I can even see it in my browser. But for now, there is no way to check it, to be honest. It's just trust me, bro, assumption. Let's say everyone is taking to get more rewards or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these kinds of hacks are going to keep happening, right? Like actual hacks, like where there is a password protection, but then people will still, crack it and then get access to those files as long as people are storing
the problem is not, in the hack of individual and the password of individual, but in the honeypot that the projects create when they store the personal information of their users. They usually, especially the guys who deal with KYC, they have to store this information to give fast access to their employees to it. Why? Because usually when you do KYC, you have to compare your photo with your face, to prove that this is actually your ID, not the ID of another person. And basically the accuracy of the comparison of a small photo, on a big, screen or whatever, and compare it to the real face, the accuracy of it is awful. Because I personally verified all the know your business. When people are giving you money, you have to verify them. And I was personally looking at these faces, and I was seeing the result. Oh, 20% match. So these things do not understand yet how to carefully and accurately match the ID to a photo, and this is why there is totally a honeypot. There is totally somewhere an interface for a low paid assistant, I don't know, at these KYC companies that check these things, and they can steal them. Social engineering, it's done. You don't need to hack, man. Well, it's also kind of hacking, but social engineering is the easiest way to get your personal data from the projects that collect it.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah, because the employees have to get this, because the technology is not there to make it like we did.
Automated.
Because we only work with face. Yeah, it's automated. We don't have access to it because we can rely on the tech already to have so little errors. We don't need to check ourselves anything. All right, we have 10 minutes left. I'm not sure if anyone have any questions today. Usually people just like to listen to us. But then while people are writing their questions, Erick, what's, I don't know, is there something next coming in Nibiru that you can actually tell us about? Or is it all hidden under the veil and you can't spoil it yet?
No, so season 1 is still happening with the for the points, so people can earn those points by depositing into our different lending platforms and dexes, or placing bets on the prediction market, or minting meme coins on the meme coin launchpad. So just we can share the links. It's just nibiru.fi, and then on there the whole campaign page is there.
Nice.
Then season 2 will be happening shortly after. So each season's about a month. So if somebody misses season 1, they can still join for season 2, and there will be new dApps for season 2. And then we're also planning the launch of our perps platform called SciPerps. So for people that are perps traders, they'll be able to go and use that and use their USDC as collateral, and then just start trading perps, especially on like Bitcoin or ETH that are really hot right now.
Nice. By the way, Erick, another question, since you're also into prediction markets, have you ever seen and thought about that? Have you ever thought about that prediction markets are pretty boring in terms of volatility? And have you ever seen, in terms of volatility,
Hmm.
because it only can go from 0 to 100, right? And if you start at 50, you can only do 2x each each way. And have you ever seen more volatile prediction markets out there, somebody building? Or not really, because I think that's really cool untapped market.
I thought I saw someone doing like levered bets.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lever. I mean, there's a project called Lever.bet, and they do
Okay.
like leverage bets. So even if it's just like right from 50 to 100, you can. I think you collateralize it, or I don't know if it might operate like a
Yeah, and you can get liquidated, of course. Yeah, like
yeah,
perps market. Yeah.
that's the additional risk.
Cool,
But I
cool.
mean, that gives people that volatility that they want, right? Or the potential upside for like being correct without needing to have that much
Yeah,
capital, right?
exactly. That's what people need, to be honest, from what I've seen. Poly market looks like more for whales because you can't really earn a lot there. And that's what most of the people need because we're so fucked by the financial world and global economy that the only way to make it in this life is have a lot of volatility and leverage.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
yeah, I
mean,
agree. It's hard with
that's
little
the world.
capital.
you can always guess an outcome on poly market that has like 1-2%, if you're lucky enough. I was looking yesterday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago when Powell spoke, and like for 25 bps decrease, it was like less than 2% chance. You would put $20 and you would earn like 1,200. So
Hmm.
imagine putting like 200, you would have 12K if they would have cut rates. But yeah, that was like,
Oh,
this is
by the
why
way,
it's
Eric,
such a low chance.
yeah, we thought about a small upgrade to prediction markets in the sense that one whale can really affect the prediction market if it has low TVL, right? So one whale can come and change the odds completely to the opposite. And well, he's kind of betting with his own money, but everyone has their different kind of money he bets on, you know. So maybe 100 for me is okay, but for somebody, $1 would be the same as 100 for me. And would be cool to see the prediction markets work both ways, where you have the regular prediction markets we have right now, but at the same time there is one person, one vote to see what people think in terms of like in the democratic voting and what people think when they bet with their money.
I see. So
Something
you
like
think
that.
these two
Yeah.
markets can? So these two
So
markets are
the
just
other one is not a market. So well, maybe you could do a market from that. This is true. You could. I didn't think about it, but no, I was referring to it as just signaling. It's
Hmm.
interesting that okay, the people with money think we won't have a cut rate. The chance of a cut rate is 2%. But then the people in general in democratic voting would say, it's 30-70, like completely different. So I'm interested to see what's the difference between the, let's say, money-based prediction market and just democratic voting without any stakes. Of
But
course,
then
the
you
more
won't
stakes,
have
the better decisions we make. But sorry for
but
it.
you won't have the same participation, because people won't be incentivized to participate in your voting, if it makes sense. I mean, when
Mm,
people are betting with their money, like they want to bet there because they have an interest, they want to gain something. But when you ask them just to cast their democratic voting, even like in like general elections, like country elections, president, whatever, the participation is quite low.
Yeah, and they might just put
yeah,
whatever when they should be
Yeah,
abstaining, right? So I think that yeah, so it wouldn't be two different markets. It would have to be one market, but it could be a signal
it will have to be
from
one market. Yeah, it
like
could be signal. But now I'm thinking about different thing. There's people are playing poker sometimes. Yeah, and some
mhm.
people are playing poker with, let's say, 10 cents bet. But then there is another room where people pay with $10,000 bet. Okay. and we could have a prediction market where, okay, let's say on this market you can bet only with $10. Everybody bets with the same amount, so they will still care about the money. There still will be market, but you cannot bet more than with $10 or less as well. So how would the odds be in this market? This is something already. We could do it. Yeah, maybe next vibe coding will be such a prediction market. We'll see.
Yeah. Are you guys planning on being at any of these upcoming conferences like Token 2049 in Singapore or DEF CON or DEF Connect in Buenos
So
Aires?
yeah, DevCon is next year, not this year. So
Mhm.
we are having our own conference in the beginning of September in Romania, because our community is very active in Romania, and yeah, that's where we go because of that. And it's in Europe, so anybody can come who lives there. And then, well, I'm always going to DEF CON, but DEF Connect, it depends on the goals, of the project at that time.
Mhm.
Uh, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll let you know if we go there.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, we plan on being there because we're in this phase of growth, community, and marketing. Right, like we have our foundational layer of DApps. Now it's about helping them grow, and then I mean we're always meeting more
Nice.
DApps to onboard, but we're definitely really scaling up now that everything is live, everything's on mainnet. Now that people are earning points, and we're driving up TVL and volume.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I'll need to check out the points program and see if you need not just TVL, but you want to reward smaller users more. We're always here for the small users.
Yeah.
Help the little guy.
Yeah, but if there are a lot of them, we're stronger, than the whales.
Yeah, definitely.
Like GameStop showed,
Yeah, you have to. I mean, the whole point of DeFi is to give these tools that were previously like I think Luke from Moonwell put it best. Like all of these tools that previously rich people used to become even richer. Now you DeFi is about giving those tools to everyone, right? And everyone being able to have access to it. And sure, a lot of people are getting wrecked by like leverage and by meme coins, but that's only because there's such financial illiteracy that like financial literacy has never been a priority for
exactly.
schools to teach or for as a culture as a society to like for people to have. So I think it goes alongside with education, and for people it is a lot of responsibility to take on to participate in DeFi and participate in like crypto, but it is the way you change your life, right? Like the what other industry has these kinds of returns and these kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. I pretty much I was astonished by, again, a simple vibe coded app that I posted yesterday on Twitter, that basically takes all the pools from Defilama, and then using filters and search, you can find, okay, I want to buy these two tokens, yeah, because they're good. Let's say Aave and Athena, okay, something blue chip DeFi. And then why do I just hold these tokens if I can go on the website, put in the search, and find a pool with these two, which gives like 100% yearly if there are a lot of volume going through these pools, and
Mhm.
people have no idea about it. And yeah, that's just what you said in the beginning. If you give people these strategies right away, instead of meme coins, they would be much better off. They would
Mhm.
have passive income in crypto. They would be in some, verified, let's say, strategies, verified tokens, not things that will go down 90% tomorrow because of the
Mhm.
rug pull. And I hope it's slowly changing, and such tools that you build, others build, will grab more attention of the retail. And yeah, they will be able, not only whales, to take advantage of DeFi being available to everyone, not like shadow banks that contribute to most of the US dollar supply, but nobody can actually use them if you're not high net worth individual or you don't have well a huge financial infrastructure in traditional finance.
Yeah. Yeah, the example that Luke from Moonwell used is how CEOs and execs they don't sell their stock and then cause taxable events.
Yes,
They hold on to their
yes.
stock and then borrow against it indefinitely to just always have this line of credit, right? Like a tax-free, and that's like a tax-free strategy. And then they keep that upside. Most people don't get to do that. Most, like, how do you borrow against, even if you had stock, like where can you borrow against it, right? And so being able to like hold Bitcoin and hold crypto assets that you believe in for the long term and still be able to borrow against them to then go do what you need to do, right? If you can't do that, then you'd have to liquidate, like, and then you'd have to miss out on all like the Bitcoin going up. Like we have these expenses in our day-to-day lives. So I think that like my favorite crypto use case is collateralization. And I think that like being able to collateralize more things that previously people wouldn't find valuable. But the thing about the internet is that you'll find somebody that finds it valuable, right? Like even if it's a peer-to-peer lending market, like the whole time with NFTs, people were collateralizing them and borrowing against them because there was somebody that was willing to underwrite those loans. So, I mean, DeFi is all about connecting people, that even if it's like an illiquid market, like creating liquid markets out of things that were previously illiquid, I think is really interesting. And then people having the access to that, because previously only execs and wealthy people had access, and then they use that to not have to pay taxes and then get even more rich, you know.
And if you need a market for something not that liquid, or let's say illiquid, you can just have a bonding curve
Yeah.
until it becomes
Yeah.
liquid.
Yeah, and it's
Do you-
and then you see, right, and then it's the ultimate test of whether something even deserves to get liquid, right? Like if it graduates from that, if there's enough interest.
Yeah. Okay, gentlemen, we're over our time,
Yes.
but it seems like we can continue almost indefinitely. So, thank you very much, Erick. It was a nice chat. As always, we come to Fireside completely unprepared. We talk about what we want, and it always goes well, you know, especially when we have cool people like you, Erick. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah. All the luck. Thanks for what you're building at Nibiru. Very nice direction. And, you know, it's both DeFi and focused on users, which I love. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys soon.
Yep. Have a nice
you
weekend,
soon.
everybody. See you. Bye bye.
See ya.
you.